Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Arun. I'm a life and a leadership coach, and today I'm going to talk to you about difference between a manager and a leader. I have spoken to many professionals who are at leadership roles, and in my discussions with them, I have very clearly understood and identified that a lot of people do not understand what is the difference between a manager and a leader. But every time when they speak to me, when they wanted to take some coaching or they wanted to solve their problems, they always tell me that their managers or their immediate supervisors are telling them that they are not behaving as leaders. So they are not too sure what exactly is expected out of them. They say that their bosses complain that they are not strategic, they are not working as a leader, whereas they are doing everything. They are creating a vision. They are talking to their team. They are managing their team well. So what is the issue? What is the difference? Well, this is what I'm going to tell you in this video today. So if you are a people manager, or if you are aspiring to be a people manager, or even if you have spent enough number of years as people manager, let me tell you, if you watch this video in complete detail, you will understand today what is the difference and why you are getting such feedbacks that you are not behaving as a leader. And probably that may be one of the reasons that you are also not progressing in your career and moving to the next level, because probably you are just managing. Well, my name is Arun Tukral. I'm a life and a leadership coach. And in this video today, let's understand that what is the difference between a leader and a manager, and in real time, how once you understand the difference, you can start taking some actions which will help you to progress in your career. So don't forget to like and subscribe this channel, and most importantly, at least keep 20 minutes for this video to watch. Then only you will understand what I am trying to convey. So let's get into the presentation. I'll take some slides as a support help to give you some perspective. So the idea is that a manager versus leader, what is the difference? Now, first let's talk about that there was a study which was done in Harvard almost in 1980s, where they wanted to assess the manager's effectiveness and comparison with the successful manager. So there were two groups that they had decided, group one and group two. So they divided managers in two categories. One where managers who were treated highly by their own teams, which means that this was a group where their teams are talking very high about their manager, that how much that manager is helping them, building their skills, making them more capable, and bringing a lot of inputs from him. While the second group was those where managers who were successful in moving up to higher positions. Now, this is another set of people where you would find that people were saying that their managers were highly successful, not only because that they were able to give them guidance or build their skills, but their managers were successful to lead and take next roles. So that was a comparison. Now, basis on this comparison, what is the outcome that came out? That people who were in group one were regarded as those people who were spending a lot of time within their team and focusing bulk of their time there, which means that they were involved in managing their team, developing their team, helping their team day in and day out. So they were completely focused with their team. Whereas in the group two, the managers who were successful in moving up to higher positions were the one who were allocating their time beyond people management of their team. They were allocating their time for networking with other departments within their peers, outside their function, in other business units and other functional heads, so that their networking increases. Now, that's where the difference between the two groups has been. And what is the key line difference between the two group of managers, between effectiveness and being successful, is the allocation of the time that they have used. So how they are spending their time is the key differentiator. So on one hand, the group one manager was spending most of their time with their own people. Whereas in group two, the manager was not only giving time to his team, but also was managing and doing networking outside its own department. And that's where the study rated the first group of managers as effective managers because they were doing their job exceedingly well. They were managing their team, developing their team. Whereas the second group of managers were called as successful managers. And the simple reason of this was because they understood that what is it that requires for them to be successful, which means they started looking beyond their teams. And once their horizon increased, once their way of vision increased, they also grew and their teams also grew. So this is the first piece that I wanted you to understand between the effectiveness and the success of a manager. Now let's come into what is the difference between leadership and management. Now a lot of time people do not know what exactly is the difference between management and leadership, and they interchange their role, which is obviously going to happen. But if anyone would dominate, it is not going to help you. So there has to be a balance. But before that, let's understand as a manager or in management what people do. Number one, they work efficiently, which means they understand what are the systems, what are the process, how to do things, when to do things, what is the procedure, what is the process that they have to follow, what are the established guidelines. That means they work under steadiness. They go by guidelines, they go by systems, what is written in the rule book, and also they go by the procedures and structures provided in the organization or as the guidance given by their immediate manager. This is what a typical manager would work like. Then what is leadership? Leadership is all about creating change, coming out of the box and thinking about what and how we do things differently, challenging the status quo. If A is not working, what is plan B? How we can improvise our plan A. That means thinking out of the box or going outside the established goals which have been given for over the years. So anyone who can think beyond the routine, who can think beyond what is happening currently is behaving like a leader. But unfortunately, we see a lot of people go by policies, procedures, systems, and they just manage things. And when you manage things, you can only get 5, 10, 15, 20% growth. But the moment you start behaving like a leader and you are thinking out of the box, bringing new ideas, your productivity shoots up to 50%, 80%, 120, 150, 200%, and even it can go to 500%. I have plenty of examples where people have turned around their business, and that is purely that they have understood what is leadership, and that's why they know why it's important to bring change and how to bring that change. So which means if you really want to be a good leader, the number one capability for you is to build how to manage change, how to bring change in the organization. And that brings a point that what should we be doing instead? That is one question you should always be challenging. So all those people who are or managers who are getting this feedback that you are not working like a leader or you're not thinking like a leader, this is the first step that they need to think about it, how they are looking at their work. Are they really thinking out of the box or they're just managing the things? Now let's get into a little more details that how to act like a leader. Now when we think like this, what comes to our mind? There are 4 important steps that will help you to think like a leader or act like a leader. Number 1, you have to become a bridge. Now, when I say bridge, it simply means that you have to diversify your learnings, diversify your network, and then you need to reach out to different people, different groups, and from there you need to bring that learning from outside and help your people inside based on their current capabilities and capacities so that they can do better. Now, imagine if you are just managing them, what you are doing, you are just telling them to improvise on what they are already doing. Nothing new is coming. But when you act like a leader, you go outside your current domain. As we saw in the first study, successful managers are those who network outside. So this is number 1, that you become a bridge. Number 2 is become visionary, which means envisioning new possibilities, which means that once you have the broader horizon, how things are happening in other industries, in other business, how people are solving their problem, you bring new perspective to the same old problems that are existing, and basis which you provide solutions. And that's where people will look up to you, that you have something new to offer to them in solving their problems. And that perspective can only widen when you start moving out from your only team there where you are spending 90% plus of your time. So you really need to start allocating your time where you have to be. Number three is people engagement, engaging people in the change process. Now, you alone cannot do everything. You really need to bring people together. First, they should accept that how that change is going to benefit them, and then from that change, how they can see the next level. In this process, you also start building new leaders for the organization. You start shaping your team in such a way that people are learning new things, they are enjoying, and once that happens, it shows that your team is engaged. And what does it mean? It simply means that you will have less attrition and people are giving more than 100% in delivering the value or to the organization and towards their work. And number four is get involved, which means embody the change. You cannot just go and speak that, we have to bring this change from A to B. You have to really get into and get your hands dirty. If it is like, for example, if there is a situation where you might have to go in the middle of the night and go and help your teammate, then you have to, because that's what this entire leadership is all about. So you really need to get involved in embodying the change. Then only your people will feel that you are a part of them and you are not like sitting at 35,000 feet where you are difficult to reach. And that's what defines a leader, that he becomes a bridge to people, and that's how he grows his people. Now, the question is, a lot of people do not have the complete clarity and they remain confused because they think that how they are leading is the way like this. So, for example, if you see the pointers that I've mentioned over here, it says that how to lead a team effectively. So, what comes to your mind? Let me just give you some thoughts. Number one, they set clear goals for their team. Number two, assign clear tasks. Number three, manage the team's internal dynamics and norms, which means you understand what is the strength of the people, what are their weakness, and then you help them in coaching them and developing them. Then comes communicate regularly. You're just in touch with everyone. You're not just leaving people on their own. You are in touch. You are understanding their problems. You are understanding their concerns, and then you are fulfilling their requirements. And then pay attention to how they feel, and finally give them recognition. So you motivate your people, you give them recognition and reward. So if I ask 100 people today that what do they mean by managing a team effectively or leading a team effectively, this is what it comes. But is this leading? No, this is not leading. This is purely managing the team. You are not doing anything from an outside or a broader perspective. You are just doing the same thing and you are just managing them. It's not leading. So when there is a demand that you have to really lead the team, what all you need to do. So again, there was a study that was done that at Harvard, and this is what that came out, that what do effective leaders do finally? What exactly, where do they spend their time? What makes them so special? What makes them outstanding over existing lot? And what all you can learn from this, from these set of managers. Number one, best leaders do not spend bulk of their time playing these internal roles, which means that they do not spend bulk of their time spending with their teams alone. They do spend their time only when it is required and wherever it is required. But where do they spend their time? Number two, they work as bridges between the team and the external environment. Now, what is the external environment? The external environment is the change which is happening in the industry, the new technologies which are coming in the industry, the new trends which are shaping up. Now, how will you build that understanding? You really can build that understanding by going and attending those programs, seminars, networking with those industry leaders who understand these trends. And once you understand these trends, your horizon will become from like this, it will become like this. And once that starts to happen, you start looking at problem and their solution with altogether a different perspective. That's why I said the best leader do not spend bulk of their time only managing their team. They start looking out in different industries with different set of leaders, how they are solving their problem, and that's how they grow. Number three, they went out to explore right information and resources were getting to the team. So they help their teams by aligning other resources outside to solve their problems. So, for example, let's say you have taken a very big objective and you want to do a lot of customer engagement meetings and you are not too sure about it that your team is capable of. But if you are a good networker as a leader, you probably can bring some experts on the table who can tell and solve the problem of your team, that how they can become an effective in doing customer relationship management meetings, how they can get best out of that. But that can only happen if you go and you bring some expert on the table, and that will happen only when you spend time outside your team. And if that starts to happen, your team will start looking up to you as a leader, as a true genuine problem solver for them, and that's how they will give their 100%, because you are helping them to develop. This is what is going to motivate them. And number four, successful leaders monitored what other teams, that is competition, potential competitors, what are they doing. Now once you have this visibility and clarity, what will happen is you can always update and upgrade your own systems, and you can even become more stronger, not only within your team, but your other potential leaders will start looking up to you as a role model. Now if you really want to understand this complete set of stuff, you really have to find out ways to become a successful manager than becoming an effective manager. But if you continue to manage the team, then you are going to behave like managers, which is where I would say majority of the people manager are into. They do not know what is leading. There could be a lack of, there could be fear or lack of visibility or lack of their own vision that how to be a leader. And that's where they struggle. And when they struggle, they come back and they find out that what all they need to do. Well, I'm sure with this video, you would have got some idea about what is the difference between managing, what is the difference between leading, and what all you need to do to become a successful leader. Now, if this gives you some idea, if this helps you to an extent, I want you to write me back in the below comment section what have you learned and what more you want to learn on managing versus leading people. I have plenty of case studies, I have plenty of examples where I coach and train people in becoming an effective leader and how to do networking, what all actions you need to do. Well, thanks for watching this video. Once again, I request you to like and subscribe this channel, share it with your friends, and I'll come back to you with more stuff on this. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching me.